This is John Figliozzi of Clifton Park, New York. You're listening to the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal.
Welcome, everyone, to the International Radio Report for Sunday, November the 16th, 2025. We thank you for joining us. My name's Sheldon. I am here with Jill, and today is a very special day here, not only on the International Radio Report, but for our radio station, CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. It was 38 years ago that CKUT went on the air on FM here in Montreal. And so did we, at least me. Jill wasn't around yet. But yes, our show began on the very first day of CKUT going on FM. So we thought we'd give you a little bit of history behind the station quickly and help us celebrate the station's anniversary and our anniversary as well. The CKUT began as CFRM Radio McGill, a closed-circuit cable station operating out of the Student Union Building on McTavish Street on McGill's downtown campus in Montreal, starting in 1985. In 1986, CFRM was among several Montreal radio stations that applied for an available FM frequency, and it was supported by McGill law professor Dr. F.H. Buckley. The station was able to demonstrate local support through letter writing and door-knocking campaigns, and on March the 19th, 1987, McGill undergraduate and station volunteer Martha Marie Kleinhans, representing a company to be incorporated, received a license to operate an English-language institutional FM station at McGill University, operating on the 90.3 frequency with an effective radiated power of 5,700 watts. CKUT became a nonprofit, member-owned and operated campus and community radio station, broadcasting from McGill University in Montreal on 90.3 FM and online at its website, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Its signal, broadcast from a tower on top of Mount Royal, reaches as far as the eastern townships and also upstate New York. CKUT began broadcasting 38 years ago on November the 16th, 1987. On that same day, our program, the International Radio Report, went on the air, at that time on Thursdays at 2:30 in the afternoon. The 30-minute show, as you know, features news and information on all aspects of radio, radio broadcasting, and communications, locally, nationally, and internationally, and is one of only a few shows that have been on CKUT every week for 38 consecutive years. I created the show and continue to co-host it and co-produce to this day, currently with Jill as our co-host and techie guy that pushes all the right buttons and cleans up all our mistakes, does all our editing and gets it loaded up to the CKUT computer as well. The crew on the show, though, has changed from time to time over the years, including our original co-host, Bill Westenhaver. We had Richard Casavant, Janice Laws, Steve Carlick, and David Aslan at various times on the show. I was in and out for a period of time as well. After several years, though, on the air, the show moved to our regular slot, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, here on Sunday mornings. The show has a Facebook group, International Radio Report, with close to 1,000 members, and a YouTube channel that has subscribers from around the globe, allowing everyone the opportunity to tune in and listen to our program on their own time schedule. So happy anniversary to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been listening for a long time, because when my first time tuning to radio and listening to you guys, you were with Bill Westenhaver back then. So I've been listening for a long time. It was an on and off thing. You know, sometimes you don't listen, sometimes you forget. But over time, I remember thinking, oh, how cool, a show about radio on the FM band in Montreal. It must be fun to be part of that. I never thought that I would actually be part of it eventually. And
yeah, I mean, you became a key part, especially during the COVID period, where we actually discussed maybe stopping the show. because we couldn't go into the studio. We didn't, and the show was always done live. We had to go down to the studio on Sunday mornings and do the show live in the studio. But you came up with the idea of recording it the way we do now.
Yeah, but the funny thing is I came into the show for the first time on the, I believe it was the 30th anniversary show. It's interesting because, sometimes you think about how things happen and they happen to be a good thing for the future. The fact that, I was a techie guy that could do all of this. And when the pandemic hit, well, when we did discuss what do we do, I thought, well, if we stop now, it's never going to come back.
Right.
I think that would mean the end of the show. So I thought, no, wait a minute. Give me time to examine what I could do, because I didn't have any equipment really to do that. I had to figure out how can we, with Skype, do something and record it with the minimum equipment that I have for audio recording. And the funny thing about it is that the first recording was, so painful. We started doing it in I believe the afternoon, and it went so bad that I said, look, you know what? Give me a couple of hours and let's start again tonight, because it's just not working the way I thought it would do. And then I got equipment.
And like you said, that was Skype before Zoom.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Zoom came along too, and that made things a little easier and a little more flexible as well.
Yeah, and I got some equipment. I got a console. Things were a lot easier that way, and it was good in ways because I do YouTube shows, so having good equipment was important anyways. So here we are now. I guess
I can't believe it's 38 years, though. It's just mind-boggling when you think of it. I do want to thank one person in particular, and we had her as a guest last year or the year before for the anniversary. Susan Elrington, who was the first station manager when we approached her with the idea for this program. She accepted it. Didn't know what we were talking about. Shortwave, what's all this? I don't know. But go ahead. We need programming. So on we went, and we tried to contact her today. She's out there somewhere on the West Coast, and we were hoping to have her pop in for a moment. But anyways, if she's out there, we thank her for giving us an opportunity. And to everyone else at the station, the show's been going nonstop since then. Very supportive of us at the radio station, that we stayed as long as we have. Other shows have come and gone many times over. Anyways, we're very happy to be here, and we thank all of our listeners, and join with us in celebrating the 38 years of the show and of CKUT. And who knows, maybe we'll have another 38 years. Who knows? I doubt it, but you never know. Technology,
yeah. Maybe there'll be, AI, International Radio Report in the future.
They'll clone us, and they'll do AI and the whole works. So anyways, so there you have it. So this is our special anniversary show. We'll get back to normal stuff here, though, for you. But some interesting stories. Very quick note. We found out today that at least in our Montreal region, we have our very, very first station making the move to all Christmas programming. It is WEZF Star 92.9, which is in Burlington, Vermont. Comes into Montreal really well. And they are making the move Friday, 4 p.m., running Christmas music straight through Boxing Day, December 26th. So there's going to be others, but they are traditionally, I think, the first one that we get in our region. You may already have some wherever you are. I know some stations started, I think, around Halloween or something. So there you have that.
So in our first news item, we have TuneIn acquisition. Good news for radio, says Stingray Radio president. This is by Connie Thiessen of Broadcast Dialogue. Stingray Radio President Steve Jones is positioning the company's pending acquisition of live audio streaming app TuneIn as good news for the radio industry, both in Canada and abroad. Announced after market close on Tuesday, Montreal-headquartered Stingray is poised to acquire TuneIn for up to $175 million US. The app boasts over 75 million monthly active listeners worldwide, offering access to more than 100,000 radio stations, podcasts, music channels, news, sports, and audiobooks. Its content is distributed across more than 200 platforms and connected devices, including over 50 in-car audio systems in over 100 countries. Having one of the world's leading audio streaming companies owned by a Canadian company is inherently an economic positive, Jones told Broadcast Dialogue. But having it owned by a Canadian company that owns 100 radio stations is even more important. Stingray's ownership of TuneIn brings a radio DNA to the organization that can help TuneIn and radio stations alike. Jones believes the acquisition offers opportunity to expand listener engagement with the medium. We can work with TuneIn to maximize the user experience so that listeners are enticed to engage more with radio, and we can work with radio stations around the world to make sure their presentation, content, and data are maximized on TuneIn, says Jones. TuneIn will continue to operate under its own brand and leadership team, allowing the platform to remain neutral. But with input from Stingray Radio and other broadcasters, we can grow the benefit for as many radio operators and listeners as possible. Subject to shareholder and regulatory approval, the acquisition is expected to close by year-end. So this is interesting. This is going to have a major impact, that's for sure, on the audio media out there, and it's going to be interesting to see the impact of this in the future.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Stingray is available here in Canada as part of the Videotron cable package, for example. On television, you have a series of channels. It's also on the satellite dish services of Bell and Shaw Cable. All of these services add these channels of music from all different genres of music, and they're under the Stingray banner. The Stingray headquarters are here in Montreal. So this is a major acquisition for them. TuneIn has been around for a long time, and it's a huge acquisition. So things will be expanding at Stingray in Montreal, I would imagine, because of all of this. Some more Canadian news. This one not so good. It's on the other side of the coin. This is from John Pearkins in his Canadian radio news, and the source is multiple sources: the Globe and Mail, Global News, and even the CRTC. All Corus-owned radio stations will soon require CRTC approval for an ownership change. To address the company's enormous $2 billion debt burden, the major lenders have agreed to exchange over $500 million worth of debt for 99% ownership of Corus. To make this possible, a new, as yet unnamed company will be formed that will inherit all outstanding Corus shares. The lenders will be issued so many new shares that they will end up with 99% and existing Corus shareholders 1%. The current financial state of Corus, specifically its $2 billion debt, can be traced back to the acquisition of the bankrupt CanWest Global, which became Shaw Media. On April 1st, 2016, the Shaw family moved Shaw Media and its $2 billion debt from Shaw Communications to Corus. This made it possible to interest Rogers in the $26 billion purchase of Shaw Communications, which took place on April 3rd, 2023, after 2 years of regulatory hurdles. There are currently 7 AM stations owned by Corus: 640 CFIQ in Richmond Hill, Ontario, CJOB on 680 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, CKNW on 730 kilohertz in Vancouver, British Columbia, CHQR on 770 in Calgary, Alberta, CHED on 880 in Edmonton, Alberta, 980 CFPL in London, Ontario, and CJOY on 1460 in Guelph, Ontario. So this is like some sort of monopoly game. Things moving, one company took over another one and they gave it back to somebody else. And anyways, it's all got to go through CRTC approval. I don't know how long all of this will take. You start seeing $2 billion debts being floated back and forth. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know how they continue to operate with those kind of debts. But anyway, so that's going to change the landscape of a certain aspect of Canadian radio.
The organization is going to get with more and more stations that they control, try to lower costs with that. And unfortunately, a lot of that doesn't always go right, and they do cost-cutting measures that impact programming, and it doesn't help. So we'll see if there's any positive coming out of this eventually.
Yeah, I think we might see a lot of syndicated programming going across the network of stations, less local produced programming on some of the stations. But A, we'll have to wait to see if it's approved, and B, if it is, what the impact is on what listeners get to listen to.
So what's happening with our son? Well, our son this week was very active. Last week I told everyone to watch out for a big sunspot, 4274. And that was something that happened this week. Major solar flares, many of them too. And that created one of the brightest, biggest display of auroras in this solar cycle yet. Unfortunately, it was cloudy in Montreal, but a lot of people posted pictures everywhere, including all the way down to Georgia in the south of the United States. So it shows you how powerful these must have been. Now, on Friday, there was another major flare, an X4 class solar flare. And we think today, Sunday, we might have another impact with this solar flare. And who knows, maybe more auroras tonight. So keep an eye and do go and check spaceweather.com. Now, that sunspot is moving out as it's going to rotate out of view in the next day or two. So things are going to quiet down this week. Sunspot number 104, the solar flux 156, and one of the interesting impact of auroras and how it disturbs GPS signals, a solar storm confused a lawnmower. Apparently, someone had his lawnmower going on his land, and usually it works perfectly, but during the strong auroras, it actually went out of track and started going in places where it shouldn't be, and it actually went over flowers where it mowed the flowers.
Wow.
So it tells you that these intelligent connected devices that use GPS signals can be impacted by space weather, so you got to be careful. But to witness all of this, and maybe a better quiet week this week, you got to turn on a radio and listen.
I'm Brian Penny of Brewster, Massachusetts. You're tuned to the International Radio Report. 30 minutes of news about radio on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal.
So in our next news story, we have a first radio station dedicated to women launched in Afghanistan. This is via Radio Info Asia. Afghanistan has launched its first radio station dedicated exclusively to women in Herat, the capital of the country's western province, with an entirely female team, according to local reports. The station, Nawayi Zan, meaning Voice of Women, employs more than 10 female journalists who produce and broadcast programs focused on women's issues. 80% of its programs are educational. It is the 14th active radio station in Herat. The station's launch comes amid increasing restrictions on women in the region. Last week, it was reported that the government orders now prohibit women in Herat from entering public buildings and even taking taxis without wearing a burqa. Shabnan Karimi, the station's director, said that the station's aim was to amplify women's voices. Its journalists aim to highlight the achievements and the challenges faced by women and girls. Sahadi Niyar Yazdan Parast, a station employee, told the media, "Through this radio station and our programs, we can convey the voices and accomplishments of women to officials and the wider world." Shamil Hamad Mashal, head of the Afghan Journalists Safety Committee in the Western Zone, said, "We have consistently worked to ensure that media outlets are supported and continue their broadcasts and activities. Fortunately, we've had the support of the Islamic Emirate in this regard, and in the future, we aim to see even more media outlets active in Herat and across the Western region." We don't have a lot of positive news usually coming out of Afghanistan, but at least this one is a positive one with a radio focusing on women.
Yeah, we've had stories of them being shut down. They have tried to have these types of stations on in the past, and usually they don't last very long. So we'll see how this one makes out. It sounds positive at this point in time, but things change regularly in Afghanistan, particularly dealing with the media. So we'll keep an eye out on that one and see what happens. Our next story is to do with Kashmir. Female radio hosts face gendered hate speech online. This is by Mohammad Abu Bakar through DeutscheWelle, the German service, and Radio Info Asia. Mekar Zubair is a radio host in Srinagar, Indian-administered Kashmir. She's been in the field over a decade, but being behind the microphone comes at a cost. The kind of people that I usually face online say that I'm not looking as nice as I should be. It's mostly about my appearance. It's about how ideally I should look. There are times when I'm talking to some officials and there are people who don't like those officials, so they come and attack me. Zubair told DeutscheWelle, "I would be lying and I would be living in a fool's paradise if I thought it's not about me being a woman in a public sphere." Some in conservative Kashmir say that female radio hosts dress provocatively on social media. Generally, I have seen that female radio hosts sometimes wear outfits that are seductive in nature, which becomes a reason they are trolled or receive negative comments online. Sheikh Hussein, a Srinagar resident, told DeutscheWelle. But other citizen, Gibran Khan, has a different point of view. Many critics wrongly associate a woman's voice in the public sphere with immodesty, when the truth is Islam and Kashmir culture both respect women's dignity and contribution, provided decorum and professionalism are maintained, he stressed. Some women say cultural respect is merely controlled, disguised as tradition. A gender expert told DeutscheWelle that deeply rooted patriarchy shapes daily life for women in Kashmir. Despite the trolls, Zubair presses on. She is hopeful that times are changing as more women speak up. "I will also not deny the fact that things are getting better, and I also believe that the more they see women out there speaking their mind, taking their own decisions, and speaking for what is right, things will get better." So this is more a cultural type of thing going on here, where men are seeing women in places that they haven't been before, and some are taking it positively, and others are basically, verbally attacking them, posting nasty messages, what have you. So it's you got to try and crack these molds, I guess, and see if you can make changes. And it seems that that's what what this lady in particular is trying to do.
It's hard to change habits and ways of thinking, and hopefully things are going to get better. So we have some amateur radio, DXPEDITIONS, and special events.
Yeah, a few things for you to check out if the bands open up again, of course. With all you were saying how the ham bands the other day were just totally obliterated.
In 30 minutes, I was on FT8, and when the CME hit, in 30 minutes, it went from, there were tons of stations, including European stations, to absolutely zero. There was absolutely nothing on the bands anywhere.
Wow, that's really amazing, the effect that it has. Anyways, we hope that these stations will be in the clear, and some of you may be able to work them as a ham operator or just tune them in and listen. The first one is from Uganda. Alan, G3, X-Ray Alpha Quebec will once again be operating as 5 X-Ray 1 X-Ray Alpha between November the 17th and December the 3rd. His activity will mainly be using CW and some FT8.
We have Lesotho Wolfgang, Hotel Bravo 9, Charlie Sierra, operating from time to time as 7 Papa 8 Echo Alpha throughout November. He will be active from Thaba Tseka, mainly on 15 meters using CW and SSB, and perhaps he'll be on 17, 12, and 10 meters also.
In Guyana, Aldir, Papa Yankee 1 Sierra Alpha Delta, is once again operating as 8 Romeo 1 Tango Mike until December the 7th. He is operating on HF and 6 meters using just about everything you can, CW, SSB, digital, and satellite.
From Easter Island, Georgia is active as Charlie Whiskey Echo 0 Yankee Hotel Foxtrot during his spare time until the end of November or maybe end of December. His main task is to repair medical equipment in the Hangaro Hospital. So basically, when he's off work, he'll be operating on the band. So check him out. That call sign is going to really show on the spotting sites. It's so unusual.
Yeah, it's a very odd one. So check it out for Easter Island and all those other stations. Give them a shot.
So our 38th anniversary show is now at the end.
It certainly is. We thank you for tuning in. And if you've been with us a long time, we thank you for sticking with us. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. We can be reached by email, radioreport@yahoo.com. Our show is live streaming and archived at ckut.ca. Our Facebook group, International Radio Report, we invite you to join the group. And our YouTube channel, where you can listen to our program whenever you like, is youtube.com/@IRR. We invite you to subscribe there. Have a great week, everybody. We'll kick off our 39th year with you next week, Sunday morning, 10:30 Eastern, 15:30 UTC, here on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. Radio McGill 91.7 on FM cable and on the internet through the CKUT website, which is www.ckut.ca, through our Real Audio, which is working this morning.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep, good to know.
Good morning and welcome to the International Radio Report here on CKUT 90.3 Radio McGill in Montreal. The International Radio Report is a show about radio in Montreal and around the world. You can check out the radio report at www.ckut.ca or also archived at our website at mediajct.homeip.net/radio report. Good morning, Mr. Jones. How are you today?
Pretty good. Yourself, Janice?
Very good. I had an exciting time at the CKAC protests last week. That went on last Sunday at 1 p.m. in front of the CKAC studios.